Well, we're up at the Mount Murray Hotel and Country Club. It's while the work is going on before the reopening. With me is Albert Gubay, better known as AG to his friends, and also Brian Stowell. And it was actually Brian who said to me that we'd never see the real AG on the interviews. So we literally, as we can, sat down here with the two of you, and I want you to explain, Brian, why we don't see AG.
Well, whenever you do interviews, it's always like face piece to camera, or it's shots of him when he's right in the thick of it doing the work. I've been friends with AG now 30 years, over 30 years. And there's a whole character with a sense of humour. We've had some really great times, you know, and that never comes across to the people.
Okay, you're a tough cookie. You have days when you talk to me, there's days you won't talk to me, and certainly Brian will back me up on that one.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've got a good day today, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because the pressure's off now. We know where we're going. We know what's happening. Today is a little bit of a calm before the storm. But he carries so much in his head. What happens in the Isle of Man is a very small part of your business, isn't it, AG?
Yes, it is really.
I mean, I got that the other day when you got all these shopping centres in the UK and that sort of thing. And this is your not a plaything, but you got a special place in your heart for this place?
Mount Murray gives me as much to do as the whole of England does. For what I get out of it, out of Mount Murray, really, compared to the UK, I shouldn't be doing it. But I like doing it here. You know, I've tried to create something for the island, and I think I've done that. And of course, a year, 18 months from now, when we've renewed all the fire damage, it'll be by far the best hotel on the island, 5-star quality, but 4-star prices.
And you said all this to me in the interview the other day, so I'm still trying to get to know you more. The people in the Isle of Man have a perception of you.
Absolutely. But it's not always the hard-nosed businessman. Do you know, there is a man who goes on holiday. There is a man that sits at home and watches the telly and shouts at the television. And, you know, you really have quite a normal life, don't you, AG?
It's probably less than normal.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's good to have this image, I think. But, you know, a lot of people think of him more as the businessman rather than the man behind the businesses. You know.
Well, all that's been created from my childhood. You know, I had a very, very tough father. We were a very, very poor family. I mean, my sister, for instance, was born in a gypsy caravan. That's all we had in those days. And my mother and father worked markets, and I was palmed out to a couple of old Welsh people for the first 3.5 years of my life. I didn't see them. And then when they did come back and pick me up, it was back into the caravan. It was years before we lived in a house. And that's how it was in those days. You know, people were poor, we were poor. People on the Isle of Man always give me the impression that they think I've always been rich. That hasn't been the case. Life has been tough. You know, working markets as I did when I came out of the Royal Navy, you'd go out, you look at you earn a tenner, 10 quid in those days, and if it rained, you lost money, you lost your petrol, and you lost your rent. So that's how it was. And to grow up with, get married, 2 kids, a mortgage, life was tough. But I managed to get through it.
Does that make you know, treat money with a better respect than other people might do who are just born with money?
Oh, obviously. People that's born with money, what do they say? One guy earns it, another guy runs the business, and the third one loses it. Something like that.
The first makes it, the second doubles it, the third loses it.
Generations, isn't it?
Yeah, but aside from the money, you see, AG, it's very easy when you are in a social surrounding. The money isn't part of him. It's almost, not there. And as I say, the wicked sense of humour doesn't come across. What about that gorilla suit? They had the gorilla. We have a chap, a stonemason, and the stonemason read somewhere that something had escaped from the wildlife park, and the boys, over a period of time, wound him up and said it was a gorilla, and it's been seen in Ballaugh, and then it was in Douglas the other day, and then eventually it was round the Santon area
where we were
working.
And so I got a friend of mine who's in theatrical to get me a gorilla, which he brought over, and we got one of the guys to put it on. The head is separate to the skin, so he puts this on, comes out of the bushes where this guy's working. So he picks up a shovel to hit him with it. Oh, really going at him. So the guy inside takes it off, and then they have a good laugh. Then a few minutes later, he sort of walks back to work, and the guy puts the gorilla head on again, and he sees him, and he picks up the shovel to go back and hit him for the second time. Well, we were on the ground, tears coming from my face.
Oh, dear.
Then there was another occasion where we had a tiger, full-size tiger, and where he was working, it came out of the bushes.
But
all in good fun.
We're talking here to one of the richest people in the country,
No, you mustn't say things like that, Brian. Times have gone really bad now. I mean, there's been a property slump, and everything I've got's in property, and that must be down by 50%.
Yeah, well,
and then I've given a lot, as you know, 50% of it to a trust.
Yes.
So I'm way down now.
Oh, nearly skinned.
Well, the way things are going on in the United Kingdom, and the way we're, as landlords, having to pay rates on empty buildings, that could happen.
I'm sorry, AG, I didn't bring my wallet. I'd slipped you a few, Bob, but I didn't bring my wallet.
Let's talk about you two here, because you have a very sparky relationship. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He tongue lashes you sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I still love him to bits, and he's a very difficult man to love at times, I have to say, but I've had so many experiences that, in a lifetime, it's been incredible. Little anecdotes all through, things that have happened that are just absolutely amazing. People have said to me I should write the book. Well, it would have to be volumes. We travelled, I think it was through Derbyshire. We were on the top deck of a bus, trying to decide who was going to pay. Well, you can have a bit of a laugh over things like that.
I don't remember that.
I know. God, that was a long time ago, AG.
Did I pay? I hope I didn't.
You told me the other night when the camera stopped filming that you've been approached for people to write your life history. And
autobiography.
You turned it down. Now, you see, I think that's really strange, because I think, you just said it yourself, you've got so many stories and so much there that people would like to know about you. Why don't you let someone write that biography?
I think it might be too much of an education for people.
Yeah. And that policeman in North Wales would find out you got the shoes from Saxone and things like that.
Do you want to explain that one?
No.
And, there's all sorts of things. And if you want 3 container loads of Panyan pickle, AG's got some on special offer. But there are all sorts of things.
Tell you about that one, that's a big mistake. It's a mistake for everybody to treat everyone else with their likes and dislikes. In those days, small warehouse for superettes. And the rep came round, and we used to have to try and buy big to get the prices down. The rep for Panyan pickle came down, and I loved it. I bought a truckload because I thought, oh, this will sell, I love it. Still, I did 3 years later. I was the only one that liked it. So you can make mistakes on your own tastes.
But you've done so well in life. People respect that, don't they? I mean, that you've come from nothing, you've made this fortune, and then you've given a lot of it away already.
Yes, I gave it away. I did a deal many, many years ago where 50% went, and it's gone. That's gone, and then the rest is probably worth half of what it was. So at the moment, it should come back. Property always does.
Doesn't this drive you to make that penny into tuppence sort of thing still?
Yes, but at my age now, I haven't got the energy to do it. It's very, very difficult.
Could you retire? Could you just stop?
No, because I believe people that have worked hard who stop with nothing to get up for don't get up.
Are you a happy man?
Always have been a happy man. I've got a friend that told me a story. He said, he's about my age, and he said, every morning I have the daily paper sent, and I go through it in bed, and I look at the obituary column, and if my name's not in it, I get up and go out.
Oh, Paul. There's a perception that of age as the hard taskmaster. But if you look around...
You've got to get fair in there somewhere, Brian. Because I've tried to be fair with people and honest with people. And it's only the ones I have difficulty with are the ones that are not prepared to give a day's work for a day's wages. Those I have difficulty with. Other than that, everything in the garden's lovely.
But if you go round tomorrow, Paul, and speak to the people working on site, I'm amazed that there's so many of them that are like myself, been round for like 30 years. John Jones and George and the lads over in the joinery workshop and Dave Crow and all these people are long-standing members of staff, aren't they? They've been employees and friends of yours for decades. So sometimes the public image is a false one as well.
How would you like to be remembered then?
I've no idea. Maybe for the gorilla incident.
Oh, dear.